That's so good. Now let's add a delete functionality so that if I click on delete account, it should delete this entire account. So how do we go about here? The way we could go is normally you would go into this this folder structure and you would go to the APIs first. And you would go to the routes, and inside the route you would go to the user route.js. Okay? So this is the user.route.js, and inside of this route, you will have to define the route to delete a user, right? So that is pretty simple. We go here, we have router.delete, and we have /delete/ the ID for that user, and we have to verify the token as well. This is very important. Remember that utils verify token.js we created just verifies if the user is allowed, if it's its own account. You're only allowed to delete your own account, right? So you have to verify if you're authorized with JWT, and if you are, then go ahead and proceed to delete user functionality. This is a controller that I have to define. So I would go to the controllers, and over here I would have user.controller.js, and in here we have this update user, right, function, and right after the update user function we'll have the delete function. So over here what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna essentially have the delete user function created. So let's have const delete, no, it's actually export since we have to export it, const delete user function is asynchronous, and let's have it like that. Okay, so the one thing is before just like importing it right here, so you can see over here we have the all user.controller.js. we want the delete user function as well. Great. So let's go back to the user.controller.js, and over here let's try to delete. Okay, so the thing is we're trying to get the params, and we have to verify first if the params are okay. So if the request.user.id, essentially this is the request that we are getting, and we have to make sure if that is not, if it's matching. If it's not, then we have to say if it does not match with the params.id. I mean, this is normally your user ID, what you're using the account with. If it doesn't match the URL, then you could safely say, return next error handler 401. You can only delete your own account, right? So this error handler is that utils function that I created before, which is right here, and it's used to create custom errors. So it just gives you you could give a custom status code and a message, and it would give you and I just say 401, and you can only delete your own account. Perfect. Now if it's actually your account, if it goes through this check, that means that it's the person's account. We could go in a try and catch. In the catch, we could safely use our middleware and say error and handle any issue that happens. But in the try, we'll have to first await, and we'll say user.find by ID and delete, and we'll say request.params.id. So whatever the params ID is, right, which was in the URL, since you could see that in the user.route we have this ID, it's going to be the user's ID. We have to see if that ID exists there. Okay, and then we're gonna delete it. What we're gonna do is we're gonna say response.status.200, and we'll give a JSON response saying that the user has been deleted. And the next thing that goes about here is that this is gonna be deleted, and you could actually test it. But the thing is, before sending this response, it's recommended to clear your cache, since clear your not cache but your cookie, since it's still going to be existing whether you delete it or not. So clear response.clear, and we have cookie, and here we could have the cookie's name, so that's called access token. Okay, so that's really good so far, and we could actually test this API in Thunder client, and this should work for us depending on which user is there. So let's go into our Thunder client, And you can see that there's this update functionality, and then there's this law update, and this is another update, and then this is sign in. So I guess this is an account that exists. So let's try to sign in with this. Okay, we have 404, which is user not found. Probably it's been deleted. So let's just log in with the account that we're using a lot. So it's this one, and I guess the password is 123. I believe I changed it. So let's sign in. Okay, we signed in successfully, and we have our ID, which is this. Okay, we're gonna make sure we have this saved. So copy this. Username has been updated. Remember the things that we have updated before. And what we're going to do is we're going to go to our newly created API and try to delete the user. So we'll have to change the method to delete, and we'll have to say localhost 3000 API user, and it's not update, but it's actually called delete. And we put the user's ID in here. But the problem here now is that it's not delete. Let's just verify what the URL is. So if I go to the verify user, you can see over here that it's not here. It's actually in the route. So if I go to the user.route, it's, yeah, it is delete. So I mean, we're good. So delete, and then, you know, this should delete the you know, user. I don't have to give any body, so it should delete this anyways. Send it. The user has been deleted successfully. Let's try to log in with this user now, and it's not going to be available anymore. So let's go and try to log in, I guess. This one, alt sign in. So let's just try to send, and now it says user not found. Perfection. We have created the login, I mean the delete API, and now we just have to edit it, add it. So it's the easiest way to add it. Just go to your profile.jsx file, all right? And you know, you have the delete you know, profile, and just have to handle the delete user. So essentially, if you go and you could see that option where it says delete, right? You have to explore that delete account. Just go into the span, and you just have to, you know, add the thing. So let's just go to that and change it for us. So in here, what we're gonna have is an on click. So within this within the span, we have an on click, and it's going to be like this. And in here, we're going to have handle delete user, like so. Perfect. Of course, it's not going to work. Everything is going to be go because we have to define this now. And it's super easy to define it. What we're going to do is we're going to go all the way to the top right here. So right after handle submit, you go create your handle delete. So we could say const handle delete user. Okay, and it's an async function again. Just add that, and also like that. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna try and catch. Okay, now in the catch, we have one thing concerning. We have to create reducers, since that's a separate scenario here. So let's go to our user slice.js, and we're gonna have to create 3 more reducers for our delete functionality. So you know, we're gonna go to the user slice, and we're gonna have delete user start, which is the first one. So delete user start. Start. And over here we have the state. 1 minute. Delete user start. Okay, and state, and it should have state.loading, which is true. And then same thing, we have delete user success. We have okay, so in the delete, this is new, that state.current would be null instead of the action.payloads that you've been doing. Now, you know, the delete would be null, and state.loading would be false, and error would be null. And then the last one, which is delete user failure, and this is state and action as well, and this would be action.payload as well as the state.loading, which is set to false. Okay, now let's just add this over here as well. Delete user start, delete user success, and we have delete user failure. And now we have all of these exported. We could now use that in the profile and, you know, handle this really nicely for us. So first of all, we're going to have to try to dispatch the, you know, command. So we're going to have dispatch. We have already this added. So dispatch, and we're going to have delete. Okay, so this is not there. So delete user start, and it doesn't exist. So I think the way we could actually add it is control and space. And now it's, you know, calling it, we could just add it from there. Okay, great. So now, but since the delete user start has been initiated, we could now say, okay, let's call our API, which is await fetch, and this is the API. The API is /API/user/delete, and then slash, then we have dollar, and we have the current ID ._ID. And in the body, we could actually put the method as delete, and that's all it. Okay, so what we're going to do is we could catch this response, and we could convert it into a JSON just like normally what we do. So response.json, and obviously you would have to await, so await, and you could put this as data, okay, like that. And you could now, if you know the data dot success, it's kind of repetitive since we've been doing this again and again. So if the data dot success is actually equal to false, because this could equal to false depending on my user slice, you know, conditions here. If it's data dot success equal to false, you know, there's actually a state here for that. So that I mean, it's not over here, but there's got to be some configuration there. And if it's false, what we could do normally is we could just throw and dispatch the update user failure, and we could say data.message, and we just simply return. And if everything goes well, we could just dispatch not update user failure. We have delete. Okay, dispatch delete user failure, and we could have that data.message. And for the delete the success case, we have delete user success, and we could put in the data. In the catch, we could just say again dispatch, and we could have delete user failure and error.message. Okay, this sounds all good. Now, all the thing that I have to verify is that if they're all imported in here. So we have import update user start, update user success, update user failure, delete user start, delete user success, and delete user failure. Perfect. And it's all coming from user slice. This has got to work now. You know, everything looks good. You know, the delete user function works. Reducers have been, you know, created, and now we could actually just test it out using our network tab. So just format document, and let's go and test the delete thing out. So let's go here, and now that, you know, everything seemed good, what we have to do is we have to go to the network tab, and once I click on delete account, it navigates back to sign in, which means that it has been deleted, and I can no longer actually see that. So profile, this is just the get response, and this is the client's response, and you know, everything seems working, which is great. But you know, the thing is that we fixed the cookie issue out as well. If you go to the application, and you can see over here the cookie, you can no longer see any cookie that's being stored, which is phenomenal. Okay, so that's great. And we can just now continue with Google, and let me just show you the process over here as well. So now I'm trying to log in with you know, Google, with my Google account, and once I do, you know, in the cookies you could see actually this access token being created. But whenever you delete this delete account, you could see that access token is gone. So that's a very good thing, is that it's clearing everything, clearing my cookie as well. So it's completely deleted. No, and you know, everything looks well for that. So continue with Google now one more time, and we have to now update the last button on the right, So you could see over here, we have this sign out button. So we got to fix that out. So we have to go to the auth.route.js because this is a part of sign in and sign out. So we could go to the API, we could go to the routes, we could go to the auth.route.js. And inside the auth.route.js, you could simply have, you know, a router dot get, and you could have slash sign out, and we could have sign out like that. Okay. So we have essentially a sign out route slash sign out, and we could have the function as sign out, which is awesome. Okay. So we have router.get, and we have slash sign out, which is the route, and the function controller that we have to create is sign out. We'll handle that. And this is not a post or anything, it's just getting. We don't have to pass anything more than that. And let's go to the controllers, and we could go to the auth.controller. And in here, what we have to do is just create that. So we could go to the here, and we could just create that sign out functionality. Okay, so if I go and you know, go to the controller, we have const, actually we have export const, and we have sign out. So we have sign out functionality, and this is asynchronous again, async, sync, and we have request. So I don't know why. Okay, request and response, and we have next. Okay, this is good. Let's just import it here as well. So Google, right after Google, we have instant auth. So it's sign in, sign up, Google, and then the last one is sign out. So sign out like that. And this should work. It should reflect it. Let's go back to controller and finish it up. So this is just normal try and catch. And what you're going to see is essentially the same thing we did before, response dot clear cookie. That's all. And we just have to clear the cookie. And that's how you sign out normally. So you just have to get the access token and just clear it. You could just say response dot status, and you could say 200 and JSON, and you could just say, you know, user has been logged out. All right, that's all we got to do. Perfect. And then we could just normally have a next and travel and error like that. Okay, so this has to work because, you know, it looks good. I mean, you know, the route has been defined for the sign out, so, you know, everything looks good here. Now if we go to the profile.jsx, because we want to add it here, we have to essentially create a handle sign out, and I have to go to the sign out button, which is right here, and we're going to put an on click for this as well. So we're going to go and find that sign out button. Normally it's got to be somewhere over here. So over here we're going to have, so we have class name, and we're going to have an on click here. So we have an on click, and okay, an on click. Okay, what is this class name? Okay, on the here we're gonna have handle sign out. So we're gonna say handle sign out. Okay, this is a function that we have to define now. Again, just like how you do before, you just create it. So we'll go on the top, and here we have handle delete user. Let's have handle sign out. So again, it's nothing more than handle sign out. We have equal to this, like that. We have try and catch, and over here we have, okay, so the thing is that first of all, we have to create reducers for the sign out as well. So we have to go to the reducer, which is in the user slice. And just like how we've been doing before, we're just gonna have to create sign out user start, sign out user, you know, success. So sign out user start. Okay, and for this purpose, normally the same thing, state and you have the loading true. And for the next purpose, we have sign out user success. And again, it's almost the same as the top. So we have state, and it's almost the same. Yeah, so it's almost the same. I mean, it's actually completely the same from the delete one, because the functionality is almost the same. You're just logging out. So I could have just actually copied it, to be honest. So sign out user, and then we have failure, and here we have state and action, and this should say state.error, action.payload, and state.loading false. Okay, just export it to export const actions. So we have an actions here. So we have sign out user start, sign out user success, and we have sign out user failure. That's being there. And then what we could do is essentially use it in the profile.jsx file, which is over here. And over here we have dispatch. Normally we use this, and we could say sign out user start. Initiation, we got to import these again. Essentially, these are going to be inside of the top over here. Over here. So we have update, delete. Let's have sign out user start, sign out user success, and we have sign out user failure. They're all coming, and essentially they're all coming from user slice. And what we're gonna do is we're just gonna implement them in our handle sign out, but functionality. So we could do over here sign ups, and handle sign outs user start. We can have a const response, and we could say await, and we have fetch, and we'll call our API, which is backticks. Again, we have to change it because we have API slash user. Instead of user now, it's essentially auth, and we have sign out, and we have what happened here? 1 minute. Sign out user sign out. So essentially it's signed out like this, and since I put await, I have to put async here, async, so like this, ASYNC. And what we could do is we could essentially sign out, and we could say const data response data, if data dot success is false, dispatch sign out user failure data dot message, return, and dispatch if it's in a good state, success. If something bad happens, just go and dispatch the sign out user failure error dot message. So that's pretty much it, because if we look at the sign out auth.route.js, we have sign out. We actually didn't need any URL, because everything is really simple. It's just a get sign out, and I believe now this has got to work. So let's go back here, and this is now the access token currently right now, and it should remove it. That's all. That's signed out.